In a world where music travels faster than airplanes and emotions cross borders without passports, there is one question that fans across the globe keep whispering, debating, even arguing about late at night. When the lights glow bright in the United States, the biggest entertainment battlefield on Earth, which BTS member actually commands the most fans? Who is the real magnet in the American heart? The one whose name echoes through stadiums, TikTok edits, radio stations, late-night shows, and college dorm rooms? Tonight, we're pulling back the velvet curtain and diving into a ranking that has sparked countless Twitter wars, Reddit essays, and emotional fan testimonies. And the twist? This list is not about who sings the highest, dances the hardest, or smiles the brightest, but about connection, cultural imprint, and the strange gravitational pull that each member has on millions of Americans. But before we start, let's be honest. Isn't it fascinating how 7 young men from Seoul managed to infiltrate a country as big, loud, and complicated as America, and not just survive, but dominate? How did their energy, their vulnerability, their stories become part of the American pop culture bloodstream? And why does each member attract a different type of audience, different ages, different backgrounds, different emotional needs? Some say it's the music. Some say it's the charisma. Some say it's destiny. But what if the answer is deeper? What if the American fanbase, massive, passionate, unfiltered, sees a part of themselves in each member? And here's the biggest question before we enter the countdown. Are you ready to discover whose influence travels the farthest across the United States? Who truly reigns in streaming numbers, stadium chants, Instagram obsession, and fan loyalty that borders on spiritual devotion? Or will the ranking surprise you and challenge everything you thought you knew about BTS's power in America? Well, there's only one way to find out. This is the top 7 BTS members with the biggest fanbase in America, and trust me, the deeper we go, the more you'll realize this isn't just a ranking. It's a journey through the heart of a nation that unexpectedly fell in love with 7 Korean stars. Number 7, Jewels. Jhope, the sunshine who lit up America. When we talk about the American fanbase, there is something incredibly poetic about the way J-Hope carved his place in it. He didn't arrive with the mysterious genius reputation, nor with the main vocal heartthrob charm, nor with the silent prince aura. He arrived as a burst of color in a country where people often hide their emotions behind sarcasm and busyness. In America, where hustle culture defines identity, J-Hope stood out because he embodied joy without apology. His artistry, especially during the Jack in the Box era and his historic Lollapalooza performance, made tens of thousands of Americans stop and say, "Wait, this guy is different." And indeed, he was. He danced with the discipline of a man who had trained every single day of his life, but he performed with the looseness of someone who had nothing left to prove. From street-style fans in Los Angeles to the hip-hop community in Chicago, from fashion-forward New Yorkers to young dancers recording TikTok covers in their bedrooms in Texas, J-Hope inspired Americans in a way few foreign artists ever could, by showing that happiness can be serious art. His fans in the US often describe him as their energy source, comfort in motion, sun after a long day, and those aren't just poetic metaphors, they're emotional truths, born from the way he moves, speaks, and laughs. Even when American media tried to understand BTS's global domination, J-Hope became the gateway member for many because he was easy to love, charismatic yet humble, confident yet soft-spoken, fashionable but deeply human. Over time, his American fanbase grew from dance enthusiasts to general music lovers to people who simply needed a spark of joy in a world that's constantly overwhelming. Maybe that's why he ranks 7th, not because he's the least loved, but because his fandom in America is made of people who feel deeply, who choose sincerity over noise, and who see in him something that America often forgets: the beauty of genuine light. Number 6, Taehyung, the enigmatic soul America can't stop decoding. Taehyung's presence in America is something like a myth in motion, half aesthetic fantasy, half soulful mystery, all wrapped in a deep voice that feels like velvet dipped in midnight. When Americans discovered him, it wasn't through typical K-pop routes, it was through fan cams that looked like perfume ads, slow-motion TikTok edits that felt cinematic, and interviews where he spoke with that soft, almost old-soul calmness that instantly set him apart. Americans love characters, icons, legends, personalities who don't explain themselves too much, and Taehyung fit perfectly into that cultural taste. He wasn't just handsome, he was visually captivating in a way that made American stylists, photographers, and fashion houses whisper his name like a creative inspiration. But his fan base in the US did not grow because of looks alone. It grew because of the way he lived like art. His jazz-inspired songs, his retro soul tone, his unexpected shyness, his I do what I want fashion choices. Americans saw in him the free spirit they often chase but rarely embody. And yet, behind all the elegance and aesthetic power, Taehyung carries a vulnerability that American fans connect with deeply. A quiet longing, a dreamy sadness, a desire for simplicity that contrasts with the chaos of fame. That emotional contradiction is exactly why Americans love him, because he reflects their own internal contradictions. His fanbase there is powerful, emotional, and fiercely loyal. They study him like a poem, defend him like a legend, love him like a muse. Ranking 6th doesn't diminish his impact. If anything, it proves how complex and unique his fanbase is. Not the largest, but one of the deepest. A group of people who see him not as an idol, but as an experience. Number 5. Jungkook, the golden superstar America grew up with. Jungkook's journey in America feels like watching a coming-of-age movie in real time. Americans first saw him as the doe-eyed teenager who danced with impossible precision and sang with a sincerity that didn't match his age. Over the years, they watched him grow vocally, physically, emotionally, until he transformed into what many US fans call the perfect modern pop star. His versatility made him the go-to member for American audiences. He could sing R&B, pop, EDM, rock, even country vibes if he wanted, and Americans love artists who can cross genres effortlessly. But beyond the music, Jungkook captured American hearts because he was relatable in a way that shocked people. Global fame never hardened him. Whether he was boxing on live streams, cooking late at night, or laughing at something silly, Americans saw pieces of themselves in him. The overachiever, the soft-hearted friend, the shy performer who becomes a beast on stage. When he debuted solo with Seven and later Golden, the US embraced him instantly because he represented the kind of artistic ambition they admire: bold, clean, confident, but still undeniably humble. His concerts, TikTok trends, Spotify numbers, and Billboard impact became proof of a fanbase that adored him not just as BTS's maknae, but as a star in his own right. Ranking 5th doesn't mean his popularity is small. If anything, it highlights how competitive this list is, because Jungkook's American fanbase is massive, loud, and emotionally invested. A generation of young adults who practically grew up with him, cheering for him like he's part of their own story. Number 4. RM, the intellectual leader America respects deeply. In the United States, a country that values individuality, intelligence, and personal expression, RM became the cultural bridge Americans didn't know they needed. His fluency in English made him the spokesperson, yes, but what truly won American hearts was the way he expressed himself: thoughtful, introspective, honest in a way that felt radically refreshing. Americans don't just like artists who make music. They love artists who make them think, who challenge them, who articulate emotions they can't put into words. RM did exactly that. His speeches at the UN, his interviews on American talk shows, his reflections on identity and anxiety all created a deep intellectual bond between him and US audiences. They didn't just admire him, they related to him. College students studied his lyrics like philosophy. Adults found comfort in his honesty about burnout and pressure. Writers and artists saw him as a mirror of their own inner battles. Musically, RM brought something different to America, a blend of poetry and hip-hop that reminded people of the golden era of lyric-driven music. His solo work, especially Indigo, resonated deeply because it captured a kind of emotional maturity that Americans are constantly searching for in their art. His fanbase in the US plays is strong, stable, and incredibly loyal. Not always the loudest, but always the most grounded, like a community built on shared introspection. That's why he ranks 4th. Not because he lacks fans, but because the fans he has connect to him on a level that transcends traditional pop fandom. Number 3. Jin, America's unexpected sweetheart. Jin's rise in America is one of the most heartwarming phenomena in the history of BTS fandom. At first, Americans noticed him for his visuals because, let's be honest, his face alone could start a cultural movement. But what truly transformed his image in the US was his personality. A combination of elegance and chaos, confidence and innocence, humor and emotional vulnerability. Americans love authenticity, and Jin is authenticity wrapped in worldwide handsome packaging. When he joked, they laughed. When he sang, they paused. When he cried, they cried harder. His voice, a warm, emotional tenor that feels like comfort in sound form, won over Americans who had never even listened to K-pop before. His solo performances, his variety show humor, his sincerity during emotional moments all became viral moments in the US internet culture. And during his military enlistment, American fans showed one of the strongest displays of loyalty BTS has ever seen, counting down the days, making edits, playing his songs endlessly as if keeping him present. Jin's fanbase in America is filled with people who see him as someone both larger than life and incredibly human. Ranking third is no surprise he is, to many Americans, the heart of BTS, the one who makes them feel safe, warm, and strangely nostalgic, as if they've known him all their lives. Number 2, Jimin, the emotional icon who took over American hearts. Jimin's power in America is emotional, magnetic, and almost spiritual. Out of all the members, he is the one Americans describe the most with words like angelic, otherworldly, mesmerizing, and life-changing. His stage presence alone could fill stadiums before a single note is sung. Americans are drawn to charisma, and Jimin embodies charisma like a living flame. His movements, silky and precise, captivated dancers across the country. His voice, trembling with emotion yet soaring with confidence, hooked listeners who weren't even K-pop fans. His personality, gentle, sensitive, empathetic, pulled American fans into a deep emotional connection that felt personal, intimate, and protective. When he released Like Crazy, America responded with a force that shocked the industry. Radio stations played him non-stop, fans flooded TikTok, Billboard charts reflected his impact, and people began calling him the Prince of Pop because he had something that American artists rarely possess anymore: raw, honest vulnerability. His US fanbase is enormous, loyal, and emotionally intense. A group of people who say he saved them, inspired them, changed them. It's no surprise he sits at number 2. In America, Jimin isn't just famous, he's adored. Number 1, Suga, the silent king who rules America. And now we arrive at the top, the one man who quietly, steadily, and absolutely dominates the American fanbase, Suga. If there is one member who captured America in a uniquely powerful way, it is him. Unlike typical idols who win fans with flashiness, Suga won America with truth. Americans saw in him a storyteller, a survivor, a thinker, an artist who creates not for approval but because he must. His raw lyrics, his brutally honest interviews, his unfiltered documentary moments, these struck a deep chord in American audiences who are used to celebrities hiding behind polished images. Suga didn't hide, he revealed. And America responded with loyalty that borders on reverence. His solo tours sold out instantly across major US cities. His hip-hop credibility impressed American producers, rappers, and industry insiders who rarely praise non-Western artists. His piano melodies enchanted music students. His emotional openness inspired people struggling with mental health. His entire artistic identity, grounded, introspective, unbreakably authentic, aligned perfectly with what Americans crave in their icons: realness. That is why he stands at number 1. Not because he's the loudest or the flashiest or the trendiest, but because in America, Suga became something far more powerful, a voice that speaks to the soul.